Just let me just. You don't have to point it out. All right.
Well,
I
I'm
know.
just saying,
I know.
you a fortress of Chuck defending one guy. It's just like there's a crack, there's a crack, there's a crack, there's a
I
crack,
don't
and
want to
then
hear
it's like,
about
and then
this.
I'm like, about what about this new guy? You're like, well, I don't like it. Well, why not?
He gets one
Oh,
high in the air. Left field. This one's got a chance. And let's go on a cowhide. Joyride. Sound the horn. The RailCats clear the yard.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to the RailCats Talk podcast. He's Chuck Polarek. I'm Kyle Svetich, and yeah, if you've been following, you understand that why last week we did not have a podcast as my baby boy was born at 5:30 in the afternoon. Labor started at 2 o'clock in the morning for my wife. So yeah, it was a very long day. It's been a whirlwind of a week. And before we get this started, I want everyone to know. I want everyone to have a Chuck. Okay, everyone deserves a Chuck. And the reason I say that is I text this man that he's here and thinking that we're not gonna have, we're gonna have families, mother, father, her parents come, whatever the case may be. And this man texts me, "Oh, we're on our way. What's the room number?" This man stopped what he was doing and drove to the hospital in Crown Point to come meet the baby. So I think everyone deserves a Chuck because Chuck is someone that's going to be there for you no matter what. So a round of applause to you, Chuck.
oh, well, you missed a big part of the story. And that was if we go back and look at the text messages, I believe you said that the baby was on its way. And I said, tell her to hurry up so we can get the podcast in. And sure enough, she had the baby in time. And my response was, good, now we can do the podcast because it was before 7:30. And so when you weren't doing that, I thought I definitely had to show up and try to get you to realize, hey, this podcast needs to get done.
I can't forget one thing. Hold on, I'm gonna do some editing real quick. Not only did this man come, right, he had a special gift for my wife and I. And I knew of the gift to my wife, but I did not expect a wife or a gift for me. He hand carved a pen for my wife
Right.
and the cigar style pen for me as well. So the man doesn't just come out of nowhere, he comes bearing gifts as well. But no, I just wanted to
How's
start
that
off.
pen working?
I wanted to start off that Chuck, I do, me and my wife both appreciate that you and Natasha both came and were able to meet him because you guys will be a big part of his life because the Railcats are a big part of lives, and that's where we're at. But settling into fatherhood, finally getting my head wrapped around things. It'll be nice. I have another week off, so it'll be a week filled of Railcats games, and maybe possibly if I can convince her to go on Friday, that would be great. I don't think it's a possibility, but like the playoffs, there might be a hope. Not a
Well,
strong one, but there might be one.
it's been interesting Railcats lately. Um I you you see these glimmers of wow, this team must not know they're in last place because they are competing with the best. And sometimes handily taking care of them. They are winning games that I mean, look at it this way. Last year, I believe we were 1-12 against Chicago,
Yep.
and this year, just this last series, we beat them 2 out of 3.
That was
Uh,
we when we beat them on Friday. That was the first time, I believe, since August 30th of 2023 that we won an Impact deal.
yeah, so I mean, it was great to beat Chicago a couple of times. Interesting enough, the play yesterday that in the last inning, I believe,
Hmm.
and Teeter gets ejected
Yep.
um, for arguing the call. If you listen to Andrew Mild today, he said that as Teeter was walking through the outfield, he asked Gunther if he caught the ball, and Gunther said no. And that apparently the ball bounced and he picked it up with his throwing hand and with the glove, and it looked like he caught the ball. And so um, they're talking about giving the Best Actor award to Gunther. So good job. Way to get Teeter all mad at you.
I
Uh, mad at the umpires, I should say, not mad at the acting.
I don't want to skip over because I don't want to skip over the Cleburne series because we went down to Texas and we basically whipped the crap out of them.
You did.
And we should have won game one. And I'm not fully blaming Jarius Richards for those two balls back to back that he completely missed in the sun or in the lights. But if it wasn't for those, we would have walked away with 5 wins and 1 losses.
Even the last game, it was light related, and
Uh,
there's a good chance we could have been in that one too.
yeah, Chuck, I'm sorry to tell you that I didn't watch that game. I was a little sleep
Same
deprived.
was the same thing. Same thing.
I,
Out
but
in the outfield, couldn't see the ball, and ended up being a big inning because of it. So
it's still one of those things. You go down to Cleburne and you wonder about the offense and you worry about Cleburne's offense. I mean, we shut out Cleburne. We've never done that. We went down there and beat them 7-0. Like I'm sitting, I'm watching. I think even game one they didn't hit a home run. I don't know when the last time I've watched the RailCats versus Cleburne in Cleburne and they didn't hit a home run. I don't know the last time I didn't watch a Railroaders game at Cleburne where they didn't hit a home run. So like
right,
that is something to be excited for in that aspect of it. And then you kind of roll it into with Chicago. Yeah, Chicago puts it 6-0 on you, and then you have the in game one of the doubleheader, and then in that game two, you turn around, you do the same thing to them, and they're just blowing punches back and forth. And then you go to Chicago and you take 2 out of 3 against Chicago. Like that is something, I going before Cleburne, I said, listen, the number one goal right now is not to have the worst record in franchise history again. Let's not get anywhere near it. All
right.
right, we're already scheduled for another losing season, but we've already bypassed 30 wins, so we're not have to worry about that. And we're what now 2.5 games back because we lost today and Milwaukee won 2.5 games back from Milwaukee, and we're what 7.5 games back from a playoff spot.
Yeah,
It's listen, it's like the light at the tunnel is like very, very thin there with the playoff hopes. It's still there. Nonetheless, it's still there. And we're what 14-11 with Isom, and we've won 4 out of the 7 series with him in the management role.
yeah. It's here's I want to say this. I am critical of Jeff, um, in some ways, and in other ways, I'm critical of ownership slash management slash Joe or Anthony or however that works. Um, and here's how I'm critical of Jeff. Jeff has the same players that Lamar had. Lamar went into towards the end of his uh, stint with the RailCats. Um, we were looking good. We were getting hot. We did have a 4 game losing streak against Lake Country, but it's Lake Country, and they're in first place by like 6 games for a reason. And we saw glimpses. So same players. Jeff hasn't really changed, lineup much, tweaking here, there, whatever. But here's where I'm going to give him credit. Uh, the game yesterday. Um, it's a rain delay
Mm-hmm.
game. And we're supposed to have Lane is supposed to
Yes.
start pitching, and instead he decides to put Evans in. Evans goes for one batter, gets an out, and then
And
they delay the game for an hour and a half or something like that. And then he puts Dawson Lane in, his starter. Whereas the other team had their starter go in, and then their starter got yanked out, and then they were going to their relief pitchers after that. That right there, even the Chicago announcers were like, that was really smart.
yeah, I
I'm gonna give him that one because obviously Chicago did not think of that. And I don't know that other teams would have necessarily paid attention to that, but Jeff
Well,
did, and hey, good job on that one. It got us a win.
well, let's even go to the doubleheader. All right, because last year we had a handful of doubleheaders, and how many times did Lamar go, okay, I'm gonna start my pitcher and then I'm gonna have a bullpen game instead of having two start. Now, granted, either way it would have worked out. You got slacked in the first game, but that's beside the point. I'm just saying that you went with both of your starters, and then you go, okay, rain delay game, potentially rain coming in, and I think it's a little bit. I want to go back to that game real because I think that's on the officials. I'm sorry, but there should be no reason that you get through a half an inning and an out and the rain come. Like you have the radar. Like you already delayed the game, just delay it a little bit longer, and you already would have tarp on the field, whatever the case may be. Did it work out in the RailCats' favor? Yes, yes, it did. You ended up winning that game. But I'm just saying, if you're already delaying the game the first time because the storms are rolling through, you might as well just delay it again because you have another wave coming route maybe 30 minutes later. You would have saved a little bit longer time. But nonetheless, there's a couple things different. I think it was I don't know if it was Friday's game or Saturday's game where they thought it was a hit and run situation because Cooper Edwards drove in. I forgot he drove someone in off of like a hit and run situation. But going back, Andrew talked to Jeff about it. He goes, I like my runners, especially with two outs, to be running on uh with three balls, no matter what. If it's 3-1, 3-2, like running, because it's putting pressure on the opposing pitcher
The
to
pitch,
make a play, the
that
defense,
last
stuff like
pitch.
that.
Yep.
I think the strategic part of ISOM, and there's definitely a different philosophy to the game.
Yep.
Obviously, I haven't. The issue is I haven't watched enough of the games in person to say what the big difference between the two, but there are little bits here and there. Some things are being strung along different. The lineups are staying. I think they're staying a little bit more consistent. As for Lamar, when you have one bad game, it's just like, all right, throw everything in a loop. Or if you have a really great game, that worked yesterday. It's not going to work today, so let's throw it all away. My biggest fear, and maybe this will help out to a certain extent. It's not so much of a fear, but what is he going to be able to do building his own roster? Because he has yet in the American Association technically been able to build his own roster because with Chicago, he basically already had a roster for him, and he's walking into Gary having his own roster. Now,
Now I did have a conversation with some people. I
yes.
messaged you this. And it was interesting. I was as I do sitting on first base, talking to the other opposing teams, and for some reason, even like during the Dog Hounds, they asked me what I thought, the pitching coach there asked me what I thought about the management change and that. I don't know why they're asking me what my opinion is on this, and what have you. But I asked the players, hey, why don't you come to Gary? And the response was, Isom's already talked to me about that, and I'm planning on going to the Atlantic League probably, but if I do come back, it won't be for this team, and Gary's a real possibility. And this was a kicker. I loved playing for that guy, is what this person said. So take it what you will. I'm not going to say who it was because it's not my place to say
Mhm.
that. And what have you, but loved playing for that guy. So whatever his impact was on that team that he managed, what have you, obviously it must have been a good one. And so, hey, if you can get me um, some decent players, uh, I we get good players,
Yes.
but can you get me? Yeah, I feel like the players that we get are unknown, and then all of a sudden they're either good or decent or not good players, right? Um, if you can get me some known players, that would be
Mhm.
nice. Some guys that have some, league experience, that would be nice. Keep some of the talent that we have, some of the regulars, that would be nice, but hey, it's Jeff's team. Let's see what he does. Um, all I can do is just say, hey, I root for the RailCats or I don't. That's the only control I have over things.
Yeah, I'm interested to see sitting here watching the game today. I'm sitting there going, we don't need the former major league players that we don't need that. I don't think we need to build a roster. I don't think we have the funds to do that. I think your Kansas City's known for that. Your Chicago can kind of do that. Obviously you want to sprinkle that kind, maybe some MLB talent in there, but I don't think we need to be chasing those names. I think we need to be chasing the names that have proven themselves in MLB partner leagues and
Right.
getting them to play for us. Getting those players to convince them to play at Gary, and maybe it's having a manager that has been in the league that has some success and maybe has, dare I say it, a broader connection because he was in the Frontier League. He coached the American Association. He's in with the youth. He's around the area. Maybe that's going to bring some life. And like I said, we haven't seen a whole lot of changes off of this roster. So is it he is that type of guy that can get people motivated and put them in situations to succeed as versus you have the players and maybe you're not being able to move them to the spots they need to go. I don't know maybe it's just a different voice. Obviously the players will be able to say something, but it's not the time and place right now to ask those kind of questions. It's more of in the off season to kind of get people's feel on that situation. But just coming from an outside view, it's like the best way to describe this is when one of my first years coaching high school football, the high school I was coaching for, we just never really had success even when I went to high school. There just not a lot of success. And this coach came in and he set a trash can down and he had newspaper written that, we can't do this, blah, blah, blah. We're not jack crap, blah, blah, this and that. He threw it all in this trash can and beat the crap out of it and got everyone motivated. We went out to that game and the kids just kicked the crap out of the opposing team. And then we went on to win the conference. And then we went on to win sectionals that year. Like, it was one of those situations that is he going to be a guy that's able to motivate the players to get the best out of them versus just being able to pluck the pieces and put them out in the field?
Right.
I don't know what it is because that's what it seems to me is these players have found a new life in playing for Jeff versus in the old regime. It just, yeah, they were starting to get hot, but like there wasn't the ebbs and flows that you're seeing prior to now
It's
where it's more consistent.
yeah, they're stringing it together. That's a big thing that I've noticed. It seems like when you talk to some of the players and you ask them, we just feel like we can't lose. Like they're just winning games. And that's great. That's great to feel that way. Now we don't have much time left. And
No,
you know,
and
but we're there.
we're there.
The thing is that, I mean, do you want to be the Chicago Dogs of 2022 or sorry, 2023, where you're top at the All-Star break by like 6 games, and then all of a sudden, like the team just kind of gets mishmashed around, and you start on this losing streak, and then next thing you know, you're out in 2 games in the playoffs, and yeah, you reached that peak and you were good, but you peaked at the wrong time. You want to be that team that like the Lake Country is right now, where they just went through and got swept by Milwaukee, just stinking up the place? Do you want to be that team that's in first place and you're just stinking? And when it comes to playoffs, you're probably not going to do very well. Or do you want to be that team like Gary right now that has that chance? And if they just make it happen and get in there, even if they come in fourth place, they're still riding high as one of the hottest teams there.
But I'm going to say it now that if they somehow squeeze their way in, I don't. It's going to be hard to beat them.
That's what I'm saying.
It's one of those situations where if we look back, if we go, this is going to be the year that we can go back and say, dang, if we won this game, or this game, we would be in the
So
playoffs.
that was 3 years ago.
No, no,
Three
no.
years ago, it came down to Cleburne
Yeah.
as you know, we didn't make it in.
Yeah.
But it came down to the series in Cleburne where it was like, okay, and that's where I was like, after that series, I sat there and I thought, okay, let me look back, and sure enough, you find these games at the beginning of the season where it's kind of like a blow off game,
Mhm.
where it's like, well, let's start this you made decisions beginning of the season that cost you some games, and in doing so, you put yourself in a situation at the end of the season where it's you've got to win this. And then when it doesn't happen, and I think that's what it's going to be this year. This
I
year, we can go back and we can look and we can say, okay, why did we have a bullpen game? Why did we stick with our starters as long as we did? Why did we do this? Why did we do that? A lot of second guessing from the beginning of the season when we were on the skids. And then
I
all
think, like I said, talking at the beginning of the year, you want to start out leaving May close to 500 as possible. You get your feet underneath you, you go into June, and you go from there. The past handful of years, we just haven't been able to do that. And
right.
a lot of the time, it's, we had the offense was going, pitching wasn't there. Pitching was going, offense was there. And I don't really think it was so much of like situational, like what we did with our pitching staff. I think it was more in game. There was a lot of times that, you would take a guy at second and the ball would be a 1-2 bounce to left field. And you're like, you know what, let's just send the guy home. And it
Right.
kills the momentum. And then you just go flat from there. Like, I think there's a lot of times that things got killed by momentum, and it's seeming that the momentum, we could have a situation where the momentum stops. We, but somehow the team kicks it back in. And I think that's been the big difference in the shifts between the two managers, is because once the momentum stops, today is a different story. Today was just a blowout, and you're gonna have those games. Everyone's gonna have a game with a blowout, and they're just not there. I mean, you get Chris Irwin back for that hasn't pitched for 2 months. Would I have rather seen him pitch yesterday, knowing that that's what it was, a last minute change, but I know you're going to keep him that starter role to a certain extent. But he comes 2 months, you're playing a Chicago team, you get in late, that kind of stuff. It just didn't fester the way he wanted to, and that just kind of turned into a bigger mess. I'm not really putting that on Irwin per se, but if I'm going to look at one blemish on the ISOM mark this year so far, it would be this game. It's not that big of a blemish, but it's still a.
Yeah.
I'm getting off a track when I'm going with this. The This season, with having the job change and how bad we were starting off and having the baby, I should be more excited about this season than I have been. But I don't know if my eyes have just been opened up to it because we were just like, are we even going to win 30 games this year? Are we even going to be the close to the playoffs? And not really like watching the rest of the league and seeing how it kind of playing out. You're like, oh, this is a possibility. And now it's like you're 2, 3 weeks away from the season being over, and you're like, can they squeak by? I mean, this is the first time in 3 years that we're kind of looking at playoffs.
It,
Not a lot, but it's might be there.
if you looked at the beginning of the season, the West was hot and the East was cold. Nobody in the East was doing good, and so because we were struggling, it was fine because everybody else was struggling. And then that switch got changed, where all of a sudden the West is cold and the East is hot, and we weren't hot, So that period of time where in between when the East is cold, West is hot, we were with everybody else. They switched. We stayed at the bottom, and we just stayed cold too long. And hey, I mean, we're beating Kansas City. We're holding our own against Fargo. I mean, we beat Lake Country a couple of games. Uh, hey, we're beating Chicago a couple of games. There's these teams are coming in with the attitude of you guys suck, and then they're tucking the tail between their legs as they're walking away, saying, "I can't believe we just lost you guys."
I mean, we said at the what did I say? There's always two series in the year that are big series, no matter when you play them, and that's against Cleburne.
Yeah,
Because
six and six, maybe.
if we would have the roles would have reversed, we would have went 2-4. Well, this wouldn't even be a conversation.
Right.
But we went 4-2, and then we go 3-3 against Chicago. I mean, when you look at the past 10 games in the East, we're the only one with a winning record. We're 6-4.
Right. Right.
But then you looked at the West, and it's like 6-4, 7-3, 6-4, 6-4. Like obviously, if we're in the
Right.
West, we would be nowhere sniffing the playoffs. Like it just no net. It's just that's how the East is set up this year. Is the East a weaker division? Probably versus the West. And the West is probably gonna come away with it, but who knows? And whoever squeaks in, it could be one of those situations if things go the right way.
I think that the West is uh I don't think the West is a stronger division. I think the West has a stronger head, being Sioux City, but I don't think that it's
Yeah,
a
but you already have three teams and one team already in the cusp of winning 50 games this year.
well,
And you only have one team in
but
the
look at
East.
who you're beating up. You're beating up those last two teams. Those last two teams are sitting there at what, 33,
If
32 wins, 33 wins,
yeah,
34 wins.
I mean, I guess, but it's only two teams. Like the other teams have to face each other. Like it's not like I get like the numbers are more skewed with the East, and like maybe they are just a little bit more competitive against each other. Maybe it's going to turn out the East is just going to run away with it this year. But I'm just saying, when you look at the West, it looks like it's harder to win games, but more teams are winning games. It could be because of the bottom two teams, but you could say the same thing for the East. Milwaukee and Gary are both under 36 wins. At least in the West, the Gold Eyes have 37 wins.
Right.
I it is you take it for grain of salt for what it is. You just don't know how it's all going to transpire at the end of the year. Like that's why you play the games. But it's going to get tricky. Is it a possibility? I don't know. I mean, obviously we're going to Fargo. Fargo's been pretty hot. I mean, I would like to be able to say, hey, can we try to get we're 7.5 games back from playoff spot. Can we try to get that to, I don't know, 2 or 3? If
See,
we could get 2 to 3 and we're not sitting in last place, the season's a win and I'm good. Just bring on next year.
I want to see this was something that was very interesting to me. So, you've got Sioux City who clinches a playoff berth, essentially without their best player that they had last year, which is Nagowski, right? Kansas City has Nagowski now, and Kansas City pulling up, in second or third place. Um, Fargo goes and trades like everything in the kitchen sink that they could possibly find, getting rid of Alec Oland, who I would claim is one of their better players,
Mm-hmm.
right? And three players to be named later, plus cash in exchange for Eric Osberg, who's their catcher. And I mean, they're just like, you know what? We're going to put everything on the line for this year. We're going to give everything that we can to win this year. Um, and Milwaukee gives up that catcher who was at the time, I believe he was hitting like 320, something like that. They give up that guy, and then Milwaukee winds up sweeping Lake Country. It's like they haven't missed a beat. Well, it gotten better. Uh, I don't know, man. To me, it's just these trades and stuff at the end here or toward this part of the season, the stuff doesn't make sense. You see it, you're like, oh my goodness, I guess I understand why they were doing it. You see the impact that it makes on the different teams, and I can't help but think, what tying this back to the RailCats, I can't help but think, hey, what if we made a trade and got something to make this last push? Do we need to? Do we need to make a trade to make this last push? Um, something like that, where it would be like a make or break. Throw it at the wall. Let's see what sticks. or do you just ride the horse that you've been riding and hope that we just continue or we do better? Because right now, continuing status quo isn't working. It's creeping up a little bit, but it ain't creeping up fast enough.
I if we were, I don't know, in Milwaukee's situation, or if we had a handful more wins, I would say throw the kitchen sink at it and see what we can do. But being 7.5 games back, that's a lot of like things that are out of our control. And I don't want to say I know the low of this team and I know the highs of this team. And right now we're riding a high. It's just a matter if that low is going to hit and it's going to be a super low. I would, if you're going to do anything, I would see what maybe happens after this Fargo series. If you're able to maybe sweep them, take 2 out of 3, maybe look at something, a possibility. But I wouldn't mess with it too much right now. You're just too late in the season to really make any major changes.
You can do 2 out of 3 against Fargo and have Milwaukee win 2 out of 3 against Kane County.
And it means nothing.
I think it does. You need to. I don't care. I right now Milwaukee winning against a Kane County or against a Cleburne helps you out because you're bringing that fourth place team down while you're winning. The goal here is.
I mean, yeah, it would. I guess it would. But I mean, like I said, what I'm saying is you have, okay, Milwaukee and King County, they may flip flop and you're still in the same position. Like you don't want those teams playing each other right now.
You don't
Ideally.
think so?
I wouldn't know.
I do because I don't. Milwaukee is 2.5 games ahead of you. When you
Well,
face
no, I what I'm saying is you have Cleburne sitting right there. I'm saying is if Milwaukee goes and plays someone else and they crap the bed, whatever the case may be, like you're gonna jump them. Like I get it
right, right.
I get the point of view if they go play like, I don't know, with Sioux City and they take 2 out of 3 against Sioux City. Yeah, obviously you're not catching them anyway. But you're still, if you're winning and they're winning, if King County was, I understand they're only a half a game ahead of Cleburne, so maybe it makes it a tad bit of a difference. But if Cleburne wins and they keep winning and Milwaukee wins over, you know, the King County, like you're eventually just sitting in the same spot. You're just stuck in the mud. There's just, like I said, there's just too many things that are out of your control right now that if you keep winning games, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make the playoffs. You need a whole lot of dominoes to fall in order for you to make it. You're 7.5 games up.
So Kane County
Yes.
faces Milwaukee for 3, Lake Country for 3, Gary for 3, Chicago for 4. So in reality, Kane County, if Milwaukee can beat them, sweep them for the 3. Lake Country, Kane County should lose 2 out of 3 against Lake Country. If we can beat Lake Country and then they split with Chicago, we just got 6 games up on them.
Again, that's not like, you're not telling me like, hey Chuck, you're not telling me, hey Kyle, listen, if King County beats Milwaukee and we do the same thing, we're gonna flip flop places. And you got to worry about this team series, you got to worry about this team series, you got to worry about this team series. Like I said, there's just too many. Like I got a big board behind me with a bunch of pictures and letters and red string thumbtacked together, like off of the episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Charlie like freaking out back there. Like that's what we got going on. There's too many things going on.
Board? Is that what you got? A suspect board?
Yeah, I got a suspect board of all the standings and like if this series go to this series. I'm just saying we have to take care of our own business.
We need
and wait until
Lake Country to win games. We need Lake Country to be on a hot streak.
Yeah, we really, what we really need is Lake Country in Chicago. And well, do I dare even say King County, right?
No.
If you're what you're telling me is if we're chasing that last spot, okay? Who's in that last spot right now? Cleburne. Cleburne is 3-7 right now.
Right.
In the last 10 games. I want them to continue to fall. Let them fall.
Okay, but here's the thing about Cleburne. Cleburne faces Sioux Falls, which they will probably beat. They face Kansas City, which they will probably beat. They face Lincoln for 4 games, which they will probably beat. And then they face Kansas City for 4 games, which they will probably beat. Those are four teams,
Hold
three
on.
teams.
So So you're telling me Cleburne, right, who has struggled lately,
Yes.
is facing Sioux
Sioux Falls,
Falls, who is 9 games over them.
right?
They're playing Kansas City,
Yep.
who is 11 games over them. Okay, I'll give you Lincoln. And then
Four,
you said, and then,
4 more games against Kansas City. They play 7 against Kansas City.
so you're telling me that those 4 series, that you think that Cleburne is going to take all 4 of those series?
I think that there's a real possibility that Cleburne winds up taking a bunch of those games.
I mean, unless they all put it in they clinched all the playoffs and they're calling it a day, then
I think
maybe. But
I think that last series for Kansas City, 4 games,
I
I think Kansas City is going to pack it in. I think that the Kansas City Cleburne, where they have to go to Cleburne for those 3 games, honestly think Kansas City is going to pack it in. I think that Lincoln is going to be an easy one for them. Sioux Falls, I think they're going to take 2 out of 3. They're going to be in Cleburne, and I think they could take 2 out of 3 against Sioux Falls. So for me, I think Cleburne takes that number 3 spot. I think that there is a lot easier chance for Cleburne to take that number 3 spot than Kane County, because Kane County has to, like I said, Kane County faces teams that are going to be fighting. They're facing Milwaukee, who's fighting, Lake Country, who's losing right now, but they're going to try. They want to go into this playoff winning, and they're scratching and
I
trying to make it happen.
I mean,
Us and Chicago.
I don't really know how much. Like right now, Lake Country has a 6 game cushion. They're already in the playoffs. How much of them just gonna be coasting it in?
Yeah.
I mean, they have a 6 game cushion right now. I don't really think that.
Dane County faces them 3 times. That's it. So
I
let's say Lake Country wins 1 out of those 3 games. Milwaukee's going to try to take all 3 of the games against them, and then we're going to try to take all 3 games in Chicago. I don't think Chicago's going to coast. They might coast on the last 2 games, but I don't think that they're going to coast all 4.
again, Chuck, a lot of things have to fall the RailCats' way, and what is the number one thing that the RailCats have to continue to do?
We have to win.
We have to win. And if we don't win, all of this nonsense that we're talking
Goes
about
for
right
nothing.
now goes for nothing.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So speaking of winning, one of the things that we did not talk much about, Peyton Long.
Oh yes, Peyton Long, my guy has been absolute tearing it up lately.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do some Peyton Long talk.
Uh,
I did
just
get my assignment
absolutely.
in. And I was like, hey, good outing. Can you
Okay,
sign?
so outside of the August 2nd against Lake Country, where he gave up 7 runs on 12 hits, he has been absolutely filthy. I mean, really since
He's had,
July 2nd.
he's had some tough outings. Okay, so remember last year. Last year he was either phenomenal or he was on the rocks.
Yes.
And we're still seeing that. But we're seeing a lot more phenomenal. So his phenomenal has gotten from I'm not gonna say phenomenal. I'm gonna say before he was good or he was on the rocks. Now he's upped that good to phenomenal, and he's taken that rocks and he's held it the same. So we've got a five innings, 7 runs, 5 innings, 5 runs, and then all of a sudden, 9 innings, no runs, 7 innings, no runs. Then he's got a six inning or a 5 innings, 6 runs, and then he's got 8 innings, no runs,
Mhm.
5.2, 2 runs, 4 innings, 7 runs. That was a rough one against Lake Country, and then 6 innings, no runs, 7 innings, 1 run. I mean,
You know what the painful thing is, though? These are the things that don't get me wrong, the team ended up winning, but like the game where he went 7 innings and 8 innings, he got no decision on those games. Like that's just so irritating that he didn't get any decisions on those
Right,
games.
right,
But
right.
going back to,
Like
talking about,
how many runs do you think is acceptable for a starting pitcher that gives up six or goes 6 innings? How many runs do you think would be like, hey, that's an acceptable amount? To me, I think you can give up 4 runs. 4 runs
yeah,
and six.
four runs is, I mean, his ERA right now is 3.98. So in a 9 game, like, a span, a 9 inning game, you're giving up just under 4 runs. So that it would kind of make sense that, about the 3 to 4 run aspect of what you're looking at.
I think that in 6 innings, you should give up 4 runs. That puts you at a 6 ERA. Okay. I think that in this league, a 6 ERA is pretty common, pretty normal. Um, the fact that he has a 3.9 is great. The fact that he's got consistent zeros for his outings. I mean, 3 hits in 9 innings, 5 hits in 7 innings, 5 hits in 6 innings, 6 hits in 7 innings. Like
Yeah, I mean
I could
he's giving, and I think that's the biggest thing from this year to last year is like he's giving up hits. I mean, if you're looking at it right now, I mean he's giving up less hits. Last year and in his 21 games that he pitched in, he threw 130. They hit 131 balls against him. Um, this year he's at 114, and he's almost there in innings pitch. He's only like what 11 and a third from the next start. He'll probably pass that. Maybe next 2 starts, depending on how he goes. But he already has 83 strikeouts versus last year he had 69. I mean, he's given up less walks right now, but may end up passing that marker. But he's already had a shutout. Um, he's 6 for 6. His record's a whole lot better, so obviously he's winning you games. I mean, he's pitched a whole lot better. His whips is a 138 right now, and his ERA is down to 3.98. Like those are impressive numbers. Like he's pitched really well, and the numbers that the blowout numbers are against teams that you normally get blown out by.
are
You're
good.
Chicago, you're like countries. You normally get blown out by those
Cleburne,
teams. Cleburne. I mean, but you take those games, you go, okay, I understand that. But like when you're going against a Fargo and you're pitching a shutout, you're going 9 innings against a Kansas City. Like you're being more impressed. Your pitching is more consistent, and your highs are more high than what they have been in the
right,
past.
right,
So I will take what Peyton Long is giving us right now, and I mean, really, it's dribbled through the entire team. I mean, there's been some good starting pitching. We've had some good relief pitching. We've had terrible outings, but that happens. But the high of the pitching staff has stayed more consistent this year than it has in years past. The only thing that's been lacking, which we've kind of seen it back and forth, besides the Cleburne series and against Chicago, is the offense.
right.
That's what's been kind of lackluster.
Yeah, and even that is kind of taken off a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that's maybe something that Jeff has done was he's kind of grouped the guys that are hot together. It seems like he's leaving the 1, 2, and 3 for the most part, but then changing up the 4, 5 through 9. Um, the other thing that we've seen is, I mean, Cooper's been hot.
yes.
Uh, that's been awesome to watch. Um,
I mean, Cooper's up to a 155, which when the last time I checked, he was sub 100.
right.
I
And
mean,
think
but you're
about
still getting out of Valentin too. I mean, he's batting at 222. Like I like the nice rotation between the two a little bit. I mean, I think there's Cooper is better defensively, I think, than Valentin is at this point. But again, I don't mind the rotation. Just let him rotate throughout.
I do mind the rotation. I think Cooper needs to be in there as much as possible. I understand giving him a break, but you're not giving, you're not giving Peralta a break very often. The Cooper shouldn't be getting a break very often. He should be the guy that's out there most of the time. Just because I
I think the matter of the fact. I mean,
I need to throw out guys that are stealing. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, matter of the fact is he's getting on base a little bit more, but he's not the hit production necessarily isn't the same, but he's scoring more runs because he's getting on base. So like if you're gonna look at that aspect of it, then I mean, I guess besides the bet, I mean Cooper Edwards' bet is on base percentage to 242, versus the Valentine's is Valentine's at 341. I Chuck, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I don't mind the rotation. You're getting best of both worlds to a certain extent. You're getting someone that's gonna get on base versus someone that can throw. I get it, but it's working right now, so I don't really want to mess with it.
It's not working.
We're winning games.
We didn't pick off a guy at second base with a left-handed pitcher, or we didn't throw out a guy on second base with a left-handed pitcher. We overthrew third base and let a run score. Mistakes like that, we can't expect to win games while we're making mistakes like that.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna argue that he let in a run, he did a home run today, so like kind of made up for that error.
I know.
I'm just, but that's what I'm saying. It just that's
I'm not going to argue the hitting. He's a good hitter. I'm going to say he's an average hitter. I'm not going to say good.
he's below. I mean, he's a below average hitter.
Well, yeah,
The,
and so is Cooper, right? But it seems like Cooper's been coming in the clutch at times, and it's just been, I don't know. To me, it seems like he's been really hot lately. Uh, I could be
I
wrong. Let's see what the
I
numbers
don't know
say.
if it's again. I don't know if it's just one of those like when you take the team and I'm just saying, for example, you look at the past handful of games. Valentine, the last 3 games he played, the team didn't score. August 13th, uh, they get shut out, and then you look at Cooper, they're blowing games out when he's playing when he's in the game necessarily, and he's not a driving force behind it. Is
Right.
my thing. It's just that's how the luck of the draw is going, and you're just flip flopping the two. So like you're seeing more bad games for Valentine because the game itself isn't going well versus a Cooper who can kind of hide himself offensively on a team that's already scoring a boatload of runs. I
Maybe the team just clicks on better cylinders because Cooper's
It could
in.
be. I mean, it could be. It could be one of those situations where under Cooper, but you don't know. I would have to dig into like who's. This is where the war aspect would come in, the wins above placement thing, but I don't have the knowledge or the power to do that. So I would just have to be able to like, okay, whose winning percentage is this versus this when the two are in. I'm just saying if you're looking based off of offense production wise, Valentine's still giving you that production.
Would have been nice to have Noriega.
I would agree. I would agree that having Noriega solved a lot of our problems, but for what my thing is I would rather have a rotation of catchers versus having the same catcher giving you the same thing over and over and over and over and over, like to where you're not doing anything. So like maybe if just saying a Cooper Edwards has a bad game, at the plate, give him a day to reset, and so on and so forth. I don't know. I'm maybe just talking out my butt at this point.
You are. It's
Ah,
okay.
well, it is.
Let's just accept that I'm correct and Cooper is the guy that needs to be playing right now, at least until we get Roy Morales. Wouldn't that be sweet?
That would be something different.
Yeah. Wonder where we're at on that, Jeff. Roy Morales, look it up.
Doesn't matter if he wants to come here and play.
I think he would love to come here and play. Hey, I was talking to somebody, I talked to somebody else from Chicago, and they're like, hey,
Well, yeah, I know that.
love to come here and play. You know how many people? You know how many people I talk to that are big name guys on a regular basis that are like, I love playing here. I love the clubhouse. I love the environment. Like they just love it. I mean, come on, you
Okay,
know,
so Chuck, you answer your own question. What the issue is?
Joe.
No.
Oh,
Why? Why? He has nothing to do with it.
he's not paying him enough.
That is a load of crap.
Joe, loosen up the purse strings. These guys,
That is a load of crap, and you know it.
What?
We know what goes on behind the scenes, and that's not that. I'm sorry, it is not that. It is due to the connection issues that the former manager that did not have a lot of that not utilize that. I'm sorry. It's just
I
being
agree.
plain and simple. If you're telling me that a guy wants to come play here and reaches out or does whatever the case may be, and nothing's being done about it, that is not on Joe. That is not on Anthony. That is not anyone except the guy that is coaching the team. I'm sorry.
You realize that we could have had Derek Maben,
Hmm.
the guy who played for Fargo that beat us,
Yeah.
and then comes out and plays for Lake Country and beats us. The
Hmm.
guy who hit like 300 for Lake Country. We could have had him.
Yeah. Who's manager at the time?
I know.
I,
I know.
I'm
It,
sorry.
I know. I know. I know. I know. Just let me just. You don't have to point it out. All right.
Well,
Just I
I'm
know.
just saying
I know.
you a fortress of Chuck defending one guy. It's just like there's a crack, there's a crack, there's a crack, there's a
I don't
crack, and
want to
then
hear
it's like,
about.
and then I'm like, about what about this new guy? You're like, well, I don't like him. Well, why not?
No, I said. I
I
said
know.
I'm going to be critical of two things. I'm going to be critical of management and ownership. Ownership, because hey, who's just we don't know what goes behind the scenes. We know a little bit of the curtain, right? But we don't know what goes behind the scenes. There very well could be, and I've seen this before. There very well could be one of those things where it's hey, stop spending money. Okay, now what? Cut costs, get rid of players, do what you need to do. I'm tired of spending money. I've seen that kind of stuff before. Maybe not with the RailCats, but I've seen it before. You
Well,
know,
but I
so
want on that note to what we know a little bit of that we know and the little that we understand. It sounds like we play by the rules a little bit and we space our money out correctly to where at the end of the year we're not doing that.
correct.
So that is also a factor into that issue. That's why I think we need to go back to quote unquote not going for the big name players that are former major league players that want to spend a ton of money, going out and finding guys that let's take a Jarius Richard or Joe Swazi, for example, from the Atlantic League that wasn't getting much of an opportunity, and you pull him out of nowhere, or Jake Gunther that wasn't really doing anything with Winnipeg, and now he's kind of turning things around a little
Right,
bit. Like it's
right.
just those are the type of players that we need to find and be able to coach and be able to turn around into the players that we know they can go.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Those are the players that I love having on this team. Actually, I love having all the players on the team. We've really got a
I
great
do.
bunch
I
of
agree. Listen, we have a bunch of
they
top
were
grade.
they were clicking like this at the beginning of the season. You know, we just tighten up our pitching staff with we only have three starters. Dawson Lane, he's not really a starter. He's going to be a starter now, but he wasn't a guy that was slotted to be a starter, I don't believe. And then Chris being injured, so you really only have three starters. But if you tighten that up with two more decent starters, you know, man, sky's the limit.
And you win a handful of games that you lost by one run, and it's all a different story. It's all speculation, and maybe you run the simulation 100 times, and maybe 90% of the time we have a winning record in the playoffs, but we fell in that 10%. You just never know.
I do not give Gary an F for this season. That's all I got to say. I don't give us an F for this season.
Uh, Depending on how the season ends, no. I right now I'm at a solid D.
Okay.
Depending on the season ends, I would if we completely fall off, then it's gonna go to an F. Like that's just at the end of the day, just you're gonna fall off just because you have 2 weeks left and you just don't want to play out the rest of the season. With the chance to maybe make the playoffs, then that's just on the team themselves. But if they continue the way they're going, I would say maybe a C. Because you improved from last year. Okay.
Right.
You don't have the worst record in franchise
Well,
history last year.
so that right now is solid. That's already
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. There's
So
no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
that's why I say even if we fall off the face of the earth, I'm going a D minus. I'm not going an F.
That's fair. Okay.
Okay.
I'll agree with you on that one.
And I meant right now, It's like you ever have those classes where it's points based.
Yeah.
You know, and say, okay, you got 100 points at the end of the year gets you, an A. And so yeah, you only get 10 points at the beginning of the season or beginning of the class. So you still have enough. But once you get to that 50, 60 mark, now you have a D, right? To me, we're at D minus territory. Now we get some more wins. Now we're gonna bump it up to a D. I think the highest that we can get, everything falls our way. Okay. We make it playoffs. We win a series in the playoffs. I'm giving us a B. But right now, I think theoretically the best that we're going to be able to do is probably a C, and that's if we give a solid run till the end of the year.
If we make the playoffs, I'm giving it a solid C plus.
Okay.
I wouldn't go that far to a B.
I said if we win a series in the playoffs.
Oh, I thought you said if we make the playoffs. You must have cut out a little bit
Make
on
the
my end.
playoffs and we win a series in
Okay.
the playoffs. I'm giving it a
That's
B.
fair. I'll go with that. I'll go with that one. That's fair. Again, a lot of it's
If I think we agree.
I agree with that one.
That doesn't.
No, it does not happen very often at all.
All right. What are we looking forward to? What are we looking forward to?
So let's see. We start
Fargo, Tuesday,
Fargo,
Wednesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then back to Milwaukee or back home against Milwaukee. Again, this I hate bringing this up because I understand it. It still annoys the living crap out of me that it's a little bit different with the King County situation than us playing against home at Lincoln. But we have to go to Fargo and then we have to go all the way back to Gary. Like, what's up with these 6 games? Even against Chicago, like Chicago's a little bit different. A home and home, I'm okay with that. But like a home and home against Kansas City, I don't. Whatever. Again, I know we've spent plenty of time on the schedule. But that is our last second to last week of games coming up against Fargo, and then against Milwaukee.
Now we face Fargo, right? Friday, Tuesday,
Tuesday.
Wednesday, Thursday. Then we come back. Meanwhile, Milwaukee's at home, and all they have to do is make that 2-hour trek from Milwaukee to Gary.
The only saving grace that we have is that game on Thursday is at 12:30. Again, ignorant as it may be, it's still a saving grace because I'm pretty sure against Kansas City, when we played Kansas City, I know it was both teams had to make the trip. Or what was it? It wasn't Kansas City. It was we played Sioux City, and then we had to come back home and play. I couldn't remember what it was, but we drove, I think it was Sioux City, and then the game was at like 7, and then we played at 6:45 at home the next day, and then they get until like 9 o'clock in the morning. Like,
yeah. No, we 10-hour drive to Fargo, and let's say we finish up at 3 o'clock. That means we're getting home at 1 o'clock in the morning. If you make stops 2 o'clock in the morning to turn around, yeah.
it's not as bad.
It would be bad if you were the one driving, but if you're the one riding in the bus, I don't think it's that terrible, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's and I guess you could use the same argument for Cleburne, right? Cleburne's going to have to do a lot of traveling, but they flop all the time. So what kind of traveling? So Milwaukee has to go to Kansas City, and then Milwaukee has to come back home. So Milwaukee's in Kansas City. Here you go. Milwaukee at Kansas City, a 6:35 game on the 28th, and then has to come home and face Lake Country at 4:30 on a Friday. I'm not going to complain. I'm not. That was pretty awful.
I'm just listen. When we're complaining, I know that there's other teams that are still dealing with the same thing. I just wanted to make known that if there is someone that is in the league that is listening to this crap, that fix it, please. It's not that difficult. It's really. I don't think it's really that hard.
It's not. It's not that.
You're not competing. Like I get maybe like the teams that, well, no, even at that, because it's later in the year. Like it's not that big. Maybe at the beginning of the year I could understand like if there's certain teams that still have college teams playing, Like that might be an issue a little bit. But by the time that rolls around, they're kind of already in their tournament style, so it shouldn't really matter.
Looking at Kane County. Kane County goes to Milwaukee, Lake Country, Gary, and Chicago, and plays Chicago. So they don't have to travel much at all.
Well, I mean, I guess that's like why can't the last, I don't know, like you're telling me that like going into this week, we couldn't play Chicago, Milwaukee, Kane
Lake
County,
Country,
um,
and Lake Country.
and Lake Country. Like why do we have to play Fargo and why do we have to play Lincoln? Like why are we playing if you're building a rivalry, if you're trying to build a rivalry, if you're trying to build a push towards the playoffs, you don't end a year playing the opposite division.
Okay, now hold on. Cleburne, remember I said this. Sioux Falls, Kansas City, Lincoln, Kansas City. They do not play their division at all the rest of the year. Actually, they haven't played their division. They don't play their division anymore since August 10th when they faced us. That was the last time they played their division. They go to Winnipeg, they go to Fargo, they home against Sioux Falls, home against Kansas City, they go to Lincoln, they go to Kansas City. That is awful if you're Cleburne. Cleburne has like if you're facing your division, at least then you can jump up in some games. But right now, Cleburne is like, hey, if we win a game, okay. If we lose a game, we can get knocked down quick.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Anyway, we always
Well,
complain about the same stuff. People are gonna get tired of hearing this. Let's
well,
complain
listen,
about something new.
listen. Well, okay, all right. So, this could be a little bit longer because we didn't go last week.
Right.
All right, so it's maybe a tad bit longer than normal. So I do apologize on that aspect. Not really. But you know how I mentioned that the um Princess and Pirates night, the jerseys, the specialty jerseys,
Yes.
that I would have dropped $1,000 on them.
Right.
The Reith Riley ones, I would have dropped about $5,000 on those. Those jerseys are absolutely gorgeous. Having the purplish night bluish sky, and then the further you go down, you got the steel yard. My only complaint, all right, my only complaint is I wish that the steel yard was a little bit
Higher up.
higher up, so that when the jerseys weren't tucked, it was just a pure purple
Right.
jersey.
Right.
But nonetheless, with the Indiana, Indiana, the state of Indiana on the back, and jerseys were absolutely gorgeous, and I'm actually this is the first time the Prince of the Pirates I can kind of justify like okay I'm like all right it is what it is I didn't get those jerseys. This is the first time I'm really going like I'm pissed I missed this.
So let me tell you, I ended up getting two, one for my dad and one for Natasha for her birthday.
Mhm.
And first of all, they did not sell for very high.
I'm really surprised
Um,
by that.
they the one was $60, the other one was $80. There was a handful of them that were at the 60s or 65s or 70s,
The game was
which
on a
the previous two on a Thursday.
yeah okay
Previous two games were not even close to that. The previous two games, you were lucky if it was under $100. I think there was 85 might have been the lowest, and that was for one, right? Um, the so that was one of them. But the design, one, I like I said, you said you wish it would have, and I finished it with the things were higher up, right? 'Cause it looks like you're tucking the city down into your
yep.
jock, right? Uh, but the back actually has so it has the state of Indiana, but when you get closer, you actually see the road map with the cities
Ooh
outside of the state. Yeah, it's actually a nice overlay where it shows Michigan City and Portage and Valparaiso and all that. And I thought that was a really nice look. For the I'm not a fan of the state of Indiana being on the back, because when it's tucked in, you don't see the bottom of the state. You just see this cut out of a square or rectangle,
hmm
right? But uh, so something like that maybe could have been tweaked a little bit, raise the city up a little bit, kind of keep that in mind that these guys are tucking in the jerseys, so you want to be able to see all of that stuff. But it was a very pleasant thing to see the back of the jerseys, and I'm like, oh wow, it has the cities on it. And Natasha was like, yeah, at Michigan City's, and my dad's like, Michigan City's there, and look, so we really liked seeing the different cities on the back. Um, so that jersey was probably, uh, I'm gonna say that was the best jersey out of the three.
I agree.
This, and I think I I would say hands down the best jersey out of the three. Um, I don't even think it was close. I think it's definitely the best out of the three. The Meals on Wheels one I like.
The Meals on with those ones were I think the color scheme was really nice.
Yeah,
I don't think it didn't like blow me away, but it was just nice and appealing to the
it was a
eyes.
nice.
Like
It was a
they were
nice.
just like, hey, we're gonna make a genuinely nice jersey. It's not gonna be anything too crazy, but here's it go. And again, I don't like them necessarily doing like the Reeve Riley one. I would have rather them. You know how crazy it would have been if they would have done like on Union night. Like I know I'm just saying, or like on a night that Saturday or Friday kind of deal. Having it during the middle of the week, you're not going to get the biggest bang for your buck. Even though the jerseys were the best out of the best, the attendance isn't going to be there.
Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of spending more money, so I'm glad that it was there on a Thursday.
Yeah, Chuck, we realized that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you dump
so
your life savings into jersey auctions during the year, so
I do a little bit too much.
you have to
Um,
eat ramen noodles and spam for a couple months.
no, no, just not eating at all.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, so jerseys were awesome. I would not be surprised if Noelle was the one that designed these also. Um, I like her designing ability,
Yes.
um, and what have you. Boy, all the things that I could complain about. Um, I you know what? No food at the 18th Street Bar um this past Thursday,
Mhm.
which was a bummer because I was gonna get some. Um,
Oh, oh.
what else do I want to complain about?
Before you complain,
Oh, okay.
listen. So they were obviously I was at home with baby, and you were probably at the game, the doubleheader game. They had it was they were talking about the pierogies and the tacos and stuff like that, and they said on the broadcast, Webb's putting a pierogi inside of a taco shell, and I said, well, you put taco filling inside of the pierogi and then in the shell. But
Right.
I told my wife this. She goes, "No, just do the pierogi with the filling in the middle of it, like the taco filling in the middle of it." And I said, "What if you make pierogi nachos? You put the fillings inside of it, and then you put the nacho cheese on it. Pierogi tacos. Listen, I'm gonna pull you, Chuck. I'm gonna pull you. You can take the idea, do what you want with it. It's your idea. Pierogi nachos next year at the
Hold
Steely
on,
Yard.
hold on. How about this? How about this? How about this? One, you really liked the barbecue pierogies, right?
Yes, I did.
Right. So that's for Kansas City.
Okay.
Why not do taco pierogies against Cleburne?
You do it year round. You're
Tex,
really right. You're next to the walking
no,
taco stand. You're
no,
really
Tex
right
Mex,
there.
Tex Mex, make it happen. Have it be
No.
a special. Charge $10. Call it a day. Like I said, when we talked to Mike, right, with Shy Dog Fool,
Yeah.
and we said, I said we should have a specialty thing each series
Yes.
when we face a team. And to me, using the pierogies and coming up with a little twist on the pierogies each time we face a different team is kind
So so Lamender Field is a pasta company, I believe.
of yeah.
So why not like a mac and cheese
You could,
pierogi?
but Texas isn't known for Texas Tex-Mex,
Yeah, throw some Tex-Mex in and call it a day. Like it's fine. It's like chili mac. Just make it chili mac.
Chili Mac.
Uh, But I also
Talking
gotta
to
say
you, I love it.
I was listening to that broadcast as well, and the commissioner was in town, so was Joe. But the commissioner uh said that probably pierogies at a ballpark is probably the best thing to have. and that he would rival that the RailCats pierogies are best in the league over Winnipeg's. His words, not mine.
Winnipeg pierogies?
Huh?
Winnipeg has pierogies?
Yes. I think pierogies are pretty big in Canada, I think. Yeah,
These guys, why do they copy? You got the pretzels that Chicago steals, and now the pierogies are being stolen by Winnipeg. Come on.
All right, so I'm done gloating, being the positive guy that I am. Chuck, you go back to being negative. Nancy, what else do you got to complain about?
Thank you. Um, I don't have the season's coming to an end. We've got 7 games left at home. Um, I'm going to uh, I would love to be able to chalk this game up to be this season up to being a very positive season for us. Um, I, I would say it's been a good season. I'm not going to say that it's been a very positive season. It has been a good season for us, for our family, to be able to go to games and stuff. Um, I I personally feel like there's been quite often I've gone to the stadium and I've gotten a cold shoulder, uh, and I don't like that. I've seen some other things go on at the stadium where I've seen kind of fans leave and stuff, and so that's been kind of bad for me. Um, I don't like when it's hot dog night and you've got to stand in line for 2 innings to get a hot dog. When it's pierogi night and I've got a guy behind me saying, I've went up there 3 times, but the line is too long for pierogies, stuff like that. Like maybe the fan experience isn't as good as it could be. And when I expect the fan experience, because that I believe is the make or break with Gary RailCats, when I expect a solid, good fan experience and I see something less than that, um, it irritates me. You know what I'm saying?
I,
And
I know the one thing you're talking about, which we won't talk on air about because that's
right,
not our place to talk about. But as far as like the food service, the issue with going into the right now is a lot of kids are going back to school. So you're losing a lot of that help. You're losing a lot of intern help as well. So the last 7 games might not be what you would get during the middle or the beginning of the season. Um, some of that stuff's a little bit out of your control. I would say maybe limiting what you have open and opening just a little bit, like, say, for instance, for like the pierogies and walking tacos kind of situation, like being able to make it open for both. I know it kind of is open for both. I'm pretty sure I walked up to the walking taco stand and like, hey, can I get pierogies? Like, yeah, sure.
yes, you can do it on
So
both.
maybe making that more readily available for people to understand instead of
The,
just
the
going to the
problem wasn't with that was not um the line was long not because they didn't have enough lines. The line was long because they didn't have enough help cooking pierogies. Same thing goes with the hot dogs. The lines for the hot dogs on $2 hot dog night was not long because, hey, there's not enough lines. It was
I,
because you got 6 people waiting for hot dogs because they're
but that's what I'm saying is like on a specialty night, like you have the Broadway that's open up. Does that really need to be open right now? Probably not, unless they have hot dogs over. I don't know
they do.
where. Okay,
They have hot
so
dogs.
maybe limiting what you have with the walking tacos and the pierogies, like limiting what you have over there for to rotate people over.
I
But
I think that the issue is or was in both cases not having personnel in the right place to make things efficient.
I,
Have the extra guy, the extra 2 guys on hot dogs,
again,
get them done. Have an extra guy, extra 2 guys on pierogies to get them done.
working in industry where you get shortchanged a lot, especially with back
I
to
know,
school being
I
hectic.
know, I know.
A lot of that stuff's maybe out of your control. And again, we're not sitting there and we're not bantering those questions like, why did I have to wait in line for? Listen, no matter what the situation is, if I go anywhere and I'm going for a specialty night and it's tacos or pierogies or hot dogs, whatever, I'm expected to be in a line. If I'm not expected to be in a line, then you shouldn't go. I'm sorry. Like that's just one of those.
So,
If
okay. So if I go to Chicago,
yes,
there is not a single time in Chicago that I've ever had to wait longer than a half an inning to get my food. Not a single time.
I
Okay.
we're
Milwaukee,
tomato.
in Milwaukee, there are numerous times where because they've only got one stand open, that you have to sit there for 2.5 innings to get your food. And then you find out, oh, they don't even have half the food because they decided to not make it today. Right. So that's been, I'm going the two opposite extremes here. One, Chicago, where they have the food that you want. You don't have to wait long for it. You can get it, get back to your seat, watch the game. And then the other one, Milwaukee, where you might, oh, your sign says that you have tacos, but you're telling me I have to go to the outfield to get them because you don't sell them here today? Come on now. I waited in line for 2.5 innings. Now I'm not going to get the food that I want, right? The other extreme. We're in the middle of that. I get that. But what I'm saying is that this is go time and whatever it takes to make sure that you have a wonderful fan experience closer to the Chicago side than the Milwaukee side. All it is it's just tweaking things. And I feel like we haven't tweaked those things or tweaked them fast enough to keep that kind of things from happening. That's
Again,
all.
there's a lot that probably rides on high school kids and working in a realm where I work with a lot of high school kids. High school kids are not always dependable. Because it's a job, but it's not their livelihood, and sometimes they like to not be.
You have too many excuses to not get the work done.
Listen, if I'm just saying that sometimes things just don't work your way, and you have to live with that. And if you're saying that my only complaint going to a ballpark is that I had to wait an inning and a half for food, then I got nothing else to complain about.
Really? I hate having to wait for food.
I don't mind it. I
Yeah.
I would rather hate waiting in line to go to the bathroom. I would rather hate having, I don't know, terrible customer service as far as like coming in and granted, employees greeting you or whatever the case may be. Like there's a lot more to it to a certain extent, but like if I'm going to a game, I'm expecting like it would be like you going to a game on a school day game and expecting the game not to you sitting in line for an inning and a half because you have a bunch of kids running around. No matter where you go, like it's gonna happen. Like you get frustrated about that. I don't know. The complaining about waiting in line for food is. I'm there to see a baseball game, so more times than not, I'm not really buying food necessarily. And if I am buying food, it's more in the later of the night.
So really what it comes down to is I'm the one that's paying for the team and you're not. And so you're riding on the coattails of people like me that are waiting in line.
Yes.
That's why it doesn't affect you, right? It affects me. I'm the
Be
one
more
that
like me. I don't know what to tell you. Be more like me.
trying to spend my money. I'm trying to put money in Joe's pocket, and they're preventing me from doing that.
Hey, listen, I'm giving the free advertisement, so
That's true. That's true. We'll cut most of this stuff out, I'm sure.
no, we're not.
What?
This is a
Come
full
on.
rep. Let's go.
Ugh.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got? What else you got? Come on now.
Chuck, I've been in a
What's your
daze.
final pitch? Your final out? Your last?
No. That's not
What are
how
we-
this works, Chuck. What is always the rule? You go first and I go. So I ask you, Chuck, what is your final out?
My final out. Oh man. Ah. My final out is I am looking forward to Peyton Long breaking 100 strikeouts this year.
I did hear on the broadcast that depending if he plays, how much longer he, how long he pitches
One
for,
more.
but no, Chris Irwin, breaking a record. I think the American Association all-time strikeout record. I forget what
No, the RailCats
is it.
all-time
The
strikeout
for
record. He is
thir the 11 strikeouts.
he's been let me look here.
Um,
It's I think it's like 198 or something
I
like
think
that.
he needs 12 more, depending on how many he got today. I think he got one today. I have a feeling.
Yeah, it was let's see here. So strikeouts, he's sitting at 288 career strikeouts.
He
He
struck
needs
out 2, so I needs 11, I believe,
um
or
he needs 11 more.
to
Uh
tie, and then he needs 12 to break it, right?
10 more to tie, I
Oh,
believe
10 more.
298.
Okay.
11 more to break it. I'm hoping that he does it. I'm hoping that he gets it. But here's the thing, Chris. Um, God bless him. He's fighting the injuries,
Yeah.
and I don't know that uh I don't know that it will happen. I hope that it happens, but I'm not going to put much thought into it because the reality is that with his injuries, it might be something that has to wait till next year.
But my true final thought or final out is those glasses, Chuck. Some
You
nice
going
glasses you got there.
going with the glasses? Oh man.
Yeah, I'm going with the glasses. Those are some styling glasses. He's Chuck. I'm Kyle. This is the RailCats Talk Podcast. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this, and go Cats.
Yes.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Wrap this one up in green and white.